So the Indiana Fever just signed Aari McDonald via emergency hardship exception, and I do want to look at her in this video and go over some film. But first of all, I want to say this. She is not going to fix the problems for the Indiana Fever without Caitlin Clark. No guard's going to come in and do that. So if that's your expectation to the point guard that they're signing for a short amount of time to fill in the gap of no point guard on this team, then you're being delusional. She's not going to come in and fix this team. We're not going to be too hard on her. She is, I think, a big step up over Sydney Colson, and we're going to go over some film in this video, but I just wanted to say that she's not going to fix the problems for this team. And also, I think the biggest problem with this team is not their offense. I think it's the lack of defense. If you look at the two losses that the Indiana Fever had with Caitlin Clark against the Atlanta Dream, against the New York Liberty, it's because of your interior defense. You were losing games with Caitlin Clark. You were looking pretty shady with Caitlin Clark, and it had nothing to do with the offense. It was the interior defense. When Brittany Griner played us the first time, she looked like Nikola Jokic out there, literally. When Jonquel Jones played us, she looked like freaking Nikola Jokic out there. Every single big man this Indiana Fever team plays gets a 200% power boost. Their levels go way up because the Indiana Fever interior defense is so bad. Now, the defense was something that we were supposed to have targeted over the offseason. You brought in a DeWanna Bonner, you brought in a Natasha Howard, you brought in a defensive-minded coach and Stephanie White, but these players are too small. And Aaliyah Boston is always getting into foul trouble, so she's not very physical when she's playing defense. And sometimes she is physical, but, you know, it's just wishy-washy with her. And she also seems to be a player that's way more focused on the offensive side of things than she is the defensive side of things. So you have a lack of defense on this Indiana Fever team. I don't think the offense is the issue. I think the defense is the issue. If you look at when the Indiana Fever had Caitlin Clark out there, they were 2-2. The reason they were 2-2 is because this team has bad defense. Even when you have the best offensive player in the league on your team, like a Caitlin Clark, you're still allowing these games to be close because your defense is very, very subpar. And it reminds me of the Indiana Pacers because people have been comparing the Fever to the Pacers for a few days. And the Indiana Pacers, they were amazing offensively last year. I was talking about this Pacers team last year on this channel. Look up Convos with Carter, Indiana Pacers. I was saying the Pacers were contenders, but the only thing I said in those videos to differ against my own opinion was that the Indiana Pacers needed to work on their defense because no matter how good your offense is, if you can't stop the other team, it doesn't mean anything. Defense matters. If you want to be a team that outscores everybody, the Indiana Pacers had the greatest offensive rating in NBA history last year. Greatest team. That's kind of like the Fever. They're a top 3 team when it comes to offense when they're out there with Caitlin Clark. Cool. What needs to be focused on is improving your defense because you're not going to be able to push the pace and run in transition if you don't get stops. You can't do it off an inbound. You can sometimes if you catch the defense lacking, but most of the time you need to get a stop to push the pace. The Indiana Fever need to work on their defense, not their offense. I think the Indiana Fever could win some of these games even with their offense looking as shady as it does without Caitlin Clark, because as long as you can just focus on getting the ball to Aaliyah Boston like you did in your last game, maybe DeWanna Bonner is going to continuously give you more. I'm assuming Kelsey Mitchell is going to up her produce eventually in one of these games because you saw her start off slow last year as well. We're going to probably see her get into a groove here shortly in one of these next games, and then your offense is just going to be fine without Caitlin Clark for a little while. But your defense is what's going to lose you games. So we're going to go over Aari McDonald. We're going to see if she's going to be able to help this team, but that's my little rant on the defense because that is the problem. People keep talking about offense. No. It's interior defense. Every single big that plays against the Indiana Fever, they leave out looking like Jokic, looking like Kat, looking like the best center in the league. The film we're going to be going over from Aari McDonald in this video is the film we have of her from this season. It was her in the preseason. She played one game with the Sparks against the Valkyries, and she had 12 points in that game. She was 4 for 11 from the field, so about 36%. She had a couple assists. She played pretty well, and she does play pretty fast, as you're going to see in some of these clips, but we're also going to look at some of the bad from her, and we're going to see just how, like, she's not going to fix all these teams' problems. I've been seeing a lot of fans who are getting excited. I don't know why you would get excited. There was a reason she did not make the team. I'm not saying she's a bad player. I'm not saying she is not a player who can prove things out there. I hope she proves things. I hope she proves herself because she's getting the best shot any player in the WNBA is going to get. The Indiana Fever have national coverage, and you have guys like me on YouTube who are going to be making videos on these players. So this is your time to shine. This is your time to get some publicity. So if you are Aari McDonald, come out and play. I hope she does, but I wouldn't get way too excited as you're going to see from these clips. She comes in at about the 8-minute mark in the second quarter, and you see her running the floor in this first play. She gets the ball, easy layup for Aari McDonald. One thing I like about her is that she is running the floor. That's a good thing, and she also is playing with effort and energy. That's another good thing. If you're going to play on the Fever, you have to know how to run the floor. Once again, though, Caitlin Clark is not out there, so since Caitlin isn't out there, there's not going to be too much running the floor because Caitlin Clark is kind of your motor for pushing the pace. That's what Caitlin loves to do, but, you know, I think they still kind of do it by habit now. You saw it a little bit in those first 2 games, so you need a player who's going to be looking to run, and she's looking to run, so maybe that's going to help the Fever. Now, I want you to look at this next play. She pushes the pace in transition. You see her trying to shift over to that corner position. She gets the ball, and with like a split second of hesitation, then she shoots the basketball. She misses the shot, but I do like the fact that she's not really hesitating. She's like getting the ball right into her shooting motion. She's very decisive. I like that about her. She's very quick as well. Her shot form is quick. She is a player that is very fast-paced. I think there's a reason they signed her. It's because she's a fast-paced player. She's probably not the best guard on the market, but I do like the fact that they picked her up because she plays fast. She's probably going to match Kelsey Mitchell with the speed, and these other players are kind of conditioned to run the floor because they've played with Caitlin Clark for so long. So as long as she's able to run the floor and make some good passes in transition, she can be a player that the Indiana Fever can use. And I want you to look at this next one. Off a pick and roll, she comes up with the steal, actually, and you see her push the pace in transition. She gets it off the catch, one dribble, easy three-point jump shot. She does miss it, but one thing about these misses is that they're close. It is the first game of the season, the only time we got to see her play. I think she could probably make a few shots out there on the Indiana Fever. I'm throwing a shot in the dark. She looks like she's a better shooter than a Sydney Colson. She looks like she has a decent form, and I know her history. She is not a bad player. She's a player that has performed at several levels in the WNBA and also in college. So she's going to be a player that can come in, probably make some shots for you if she can get into a groove. You're not going to have her for too long. So if she's not in a groove when she gets out there, you're probably not going to see her be able to adjust and get into a groove while she's out there for the Fever because she's only going to be playing a certain amount of games. But if she can make some shots, she can run the floor, be decisive, she can be a player that the Indiana Fever can use. And look at her right here. She doesn't end up coming with the steal, but she nearly gets it. I think they call a foul here, but you see her playing with effort and intensity. She is a good defender. And one thing I did notice from Stephanie White is that she said that when they were looking for a hardship exception, they weren't just looking for a player that could be good on offense. They were looking for a defensive player as well.
When you're thinking about a potential hardship player, are you valuing someone like knows the system, has been here, or is it maybe best player available at that position?
I think best player available at that position who can add value on both ends of the floor.
So Aari McDonald is a player who plays with effort on defense. You already saw her get one steal. Here's her getting some deflections. She plays with effort, and that's a good thing. And I'm just going over all the plays that she was involved in this game because there's not too much to go off of. And you see her getting down into the mid-range here, and she does miss a shot. It's pretty contested. She's missing a lot in this game. She was 4 for 11, about 36% from the field. This is the only time we've seen her play this year, so this isn't very, very good as a showing to see what she's like with her missing all these shots, but she might be able to make some of them. We're going to look at a couple more plays where she does make some shots. So she's a player who plays fast. She can make decent passes, as I was seeing in this game. I didn't want to just bore you guys with simple passes, but she can pass the basketball. And I saw people online, Fever fans, saying that she is a playmaker and a true point guard. So people are saying that, so I'm just inclined to believe that she is. Hopefully she can come in, run the point guard, get everybody involved by passing the ball and run quick enough to be down the court and not slow it down, kind of like a Sydney Colson. And then she can be useful. You would hope she can make some shots, but you also don't really need your point guard to shoot that much. Give the ball to Kelsey Mitchell. I would rather Kelsey Mitchell go 2 for 30 than make her go 1 for 10. I would rather Kelsey Mitchell just shoot the ball because eventually, hopefully, she'll make one. I want Kelsey Mitchell to get into a groove because she is a player the Indiana Fever need, not just now, but when Caitlin comes back. Caitlin Clark is not going to be able to do it on her own. Caitlin Clark can give you 25, but Kelsey Mitchell also needs to give you 20. And if Kelsey Mitchell can up it to a 25, then defenses are going to have to sag off Caitlin Clark, and then Caitlin Clark might be able to give you a 40 piece. So you need Kelsey Mitchell to play well so she can draw some of that defensive attention from Caitlin Clark. Right now, defenses probably aren't even too worried about her because she's just clanking everything. And look at this one, off a screen handoff type of play. She gets the ball at the top of the key, and she does drill the three-pointer. So she is a player who can shoot the basketball. All those misses were good misses. She's a player who can really shoot. She is inefficient. She's always been inefficient, and all WNBA players seem to just be inefficient for some reason. She shot at 30% from the three last year, 40% from the field. But hey, that's not too bad given WNBA standards. NBA-wise, that's horrible. But WNBA-wise, it's not the worst thing in the world. Arike Ogunbowale shot at 36% from the field last year. So WNBA-wise, not too bad. She's a shooter. She's known for her shooting. The form is not too bad. All the misses are good misses. They're not way off the mark. So if she can come on the Indiana Fever, make 2 of 6 shots, it's better than Sydney Colson, man. Look, my expectations are low, man. We're getting cooked by the worst team in the league, man. Please, man, don't get mad at me. My expectations are low, man. I'm just telling it how it is, man. And look at this next one. She gets a steal, ends up with a layup on the other side. That's a lot of effort and a lot of energy. Once again, Stephanie White was saying that they were looking for a player who could contribute on both sides of the basketball. This is probably why they went with Aari. If they were just looking at this one preseason game, she did get a lot of deflection. She was playing with a lot of effort. She plays fast. It's probably why they picked her. Do I think she was the best player on the market? Probably not. But she's a player player who plays with effort. She is good for the locker room. She's not like, one of those crazy players. You just add her to the team. She's looking to play basketball, probably looking to prove herself out there so she can get on a roster again soon. So, come on in, and hopefully you can just be competent. Be better than Sydney Colson. Do a little something out there for a few games, and then she can get on. But yeah, that's where I'm going to end off this breakdown, man. I just wanted to say once again, though, the defense is the biggest problem for the Indiana Fever. I'm going to keep saying that because you're going to keep seeing it. Once I make a video tomorrow on the game that they play tomorrow, I'm sure defense is going to be a big part of that game because the Indiana Fever give up so many points on the defensive side of the basketball. So the Indiana Fever have to work on their defense. No matter what you do to the offense, even once you bring Caitlin Clark back, you still might lose games on the defensive side of the basketball. You already lost 2 with Caitlin Clark. And yes, there were some gluing issues on the offense side of the basketball. And obviously, as they play more together, some of those things are going to be fixed. But the defense is a big problem outside of Caitlin Clark, outside of her being injured. That has to be addressed. I need to see Aaliyah Boston play more physical. I also need to see the refs stop calling so many fouls on Aaliyah Boston because they're kind of just biased. On some plays, they allow Aaliyah Boston to play physical. On some plays, they don't. And most of the time, they allow other bigs to play physical against Aaliyah. But then when Aaliyah's playing against these other bigs, they don't allow her to play physical. So she's always getting into foul trouble, and she's allowing these players kind of just to rush by her because she's got her hands back like this. And there are some times where Aaliyah Boston just needs to be more physical, and I don't want to see you get your hands up. I'd rather you foul out and play with intensity than just allow them to go by you and get an easy 2 points. So there is, the fault of Aaliyah there, and then you also got to see Natasha Howard and DeWanda Bonner pick up that pace defensively. And when I say pick up the pace, I really mean pick up the intensity. And I also need to see Michaela Timpson get some minutes because she is the big defender down there that is the best defender in college basketball for women last year that you have sitting on your bench. She has a whole lot of talent. She was pretty good in the preseason. Give her a shout out there. That would probably be the best bet for the Indiana Fever. And if you can fix the defense up, I think that's going to improve this team greatly. But the offense is also a big issue without Caitlin Clark. I'm not going to sit there and act like that's not the case. But once again, the expectations are low. You're not going to expect this team to be very good offensively without their best player. But you can win a lot more games if you play defense. Defense wins games. People said that for a reason for many years. Work on the defense. But that's the end of the rant. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I certainly did. Hope you guys enjoyed the new setup. Let me know what you think about it. And also, I'm going to make a poll on my community tab. I'm going to ask you guys if you want me to cover the NBA Finals. I want you to go vote on that poll if you made it this far in the video. Do you guys want me to cover the NBA Finals? Let me know. I think I'm going to cover it. So let me know if you guys want me to do that. And if you want me to do it on this channel, you want me to do it on another channel. Let me know what you think. If you made it this far in the video, shout out to you. But that's where I'm going to end it off, man. Hope you guys enjoyed. I certainly did, man. Peace out.